Hi, this is Michael Madeley with the VMSA studio. Today in studio we have Juliette with EY, part of the People Advisory Services. Juliette, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Happy to be here.
Thank you. People Advisory Services, what is that and how do you use that to guide your clients?
Well, given that EY is an accounting firm, most people don't think of us in the business of people advisory. But as you can imagine, we do help our clients in HR and procurement with their processes and their programs. And given that we're a global accounting firm, we bring to that what you would expect, which is the financial aspects, the cost aspects, tax and regulatory, vendor management, technology assistance, as well as operational efficiencies.
Tell us about the future of work. I imagine that's a pretty big deal in your practice. What is it and how do you use it to provide guidance and advice to your clients?
Yeah, people are doing work differently than they did before. As you probably heard, there's a trend amongst millennials and other generations toward short-term and contract engagement over full-time work. And we call that the gig economy, as in what's my next job or gig. And we're finding that people are wanting to do more gigs, shorter time frames, and so that's the individual side, but on the business side, businesses are also looking to flex their workforce up and down with the flexibility of their business. And so combining the people individual wants with having to do a shorter contract engagement with the business needs, that really presents a great opportunity for this contingent workforce, and we help our clients in managing that.
You and I were talking about, before the interview started, about the mix between the contingent labor workforce and the perm. As our economy moves in that direction, what are some challenges that the companies are facing to deal with that and to leverage it maybe?
Yeah, so companies are having to do things differently than they did when their workforce had a contingent workforce of maybe 5%. Now we're looking at 30%, 40%, 50% of their workforce. And really, you can't manage it the way that you did before. You need to think about, well, what is the right mix of contingent workers and full-time employees given our cost tolerance and our risk tolerance? From an international perspective, what are the global aspects of bringing these two workforces together? Intellectual property, how do we protect that from our organization, having system controls, et cetera? And frankly, we do a great job of managing our full-time employees from a talent management perspective. But if half of our workforce is contingent workforce, we're ignoring half of our workforce. So thinking about how do we have high-performing teams that are a mix of contingent workers and full-time employees? How do we make sure that they're performing well, that they are highly engaged, and that they have aligned vision? So these are the types of things that organizations need to think about as they're managing their total talent workforce.
Yeah, it seems like the gig economy is changing so fastly. Are there any best practices that have actually evolved and developed that you're recognizing that you can share with us?
Yeah, I'll tell you about two of them, and it's kind of, one is a very high level, and the other is maybe more getting into how to engage them. From a high level perspective, one of the first things you have to do is get your arms around your total contingent workforce, and sometimes that's easier said than done. Thinking about, we have a decentralized engagement process, or some people are using their corporate credit cards to engage contingent workers. How do I know who's out there and what kind of work that they're doing? And so getting with the security functions of an organization to understand who has network access, who has badge access, combining those two lists, it'll at least help you get your arms around your total contingent workforce population. From sort of a how do you engage and manage these folks, you have to think about, how are we dividing up and delegating work differently than we did before? What's the appropriate types of work to give to contingent workers? Do we keep the sort of intellectual type of work for our full-time employees? And also sort of dividing up work almost in micro bits, thinking about from a cost perspective, what's the best work to give to individuals that are contingent. So those are the types of things that we're seeing just as we work with our clients.
So it sounds like there's some impact to the demand side, meaning how do you tee up the work to feed to, if you will, or to present to the new kind of workers.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Um, Affordable Care Act, bit of a moving target, but still the
Absolutely.
law of the land.
Yeah.
How do you guide companies? How do you help them navigate that law and be successful and sort of stay um, out of trouble, if you will?
Yeah, yeah. Many people don't realize that the Affordable Care Act affects your contingent workforce just like it affects your full-time employees. What it says is it comes with this giant penalty, $2,000 times all full-time employees. And what people don't realize is if you misclassify enough of your contingent workers and you don't offer them coverage, then you don't pay the $2,000 times those people that you missed. You pay the $2,000 times all full-time employees in your organization. And that's a big surprise to many organizations. And so organizations really need to take a look at their contingent workforce, figure out, are they your common law employees or not? Figure out how do we put in controls to make sure that these folks are not our common law employees and that we can avoid these very significant penalties under the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah. Well, as important as it is, I don't want to end the interview on a dry note like the Affordable Care Act. So I'm going to ask you a little bit of a fun question.
Okay.
If you want a ticket for you and whoever you want to travel with to anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would say Italy is probably my favorite country. It's warm, has wonderful food and wine, beautiful scenery. It's got history. So I mean, there's so many places that I would love to go, but I would say that would be the place I would choose.
Doesn't sound like a bad choice to
No.
me either. Juliette, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
I'm Michael Mavely with the VMSA studio. Thank you for joining us.